He was my boss, the man everyone admired and the last person I should have trusted. One photo changed everything. My shirt half off, my eyes caught mid-breath, sent to every executive in the company. I ran, but somehow ended up in his penthouse, the only place he said I'd be safe. The nights there were quiet, but never calm. His gaze lingered too long. His hand stayed too close, and the walls felt more like a cage than protection. Every answer he gave only led to more questions. Every time I tried to leave, something or someone pulled me back. But the truth about that photo was darker than I imagined, and the moment I finally learned it, I wasn't sure if I wanted to escape him or stay. So when he told me I had one more night before everything changed, I had to ask myself what exactly was he planning to do before morning. The champagne glass shattered before I even realized I'd dropped it. Laughter sharp, jagged rippled behind me. I could still hear my name in their voices, stretched into a punchline. My chest burned, my palms damp, my throat tight. My phone buzzed. Once, twice, a third time, I pulled it from my pocket. My heart stopped. A photo, sent to the entire leadership group chat. Me shirtless, sheets pulled low on my hips, my eyes half closed like I'd just been used. The light in the picture was warm, almost golden intimate. I'd never seen that photo before, but the timestamp was last night. Whispers flared around the room. A few people avoided my eyes, others didn't bother. They stared. I tried to breathe, but the air felt thick, sour with spilled alcohol and perfume. Someone brushed past me, muttering bold move under their breath. I didn't wait. I pushed through the crowd, my shoulders slamming into a server's tray, sending champagne cascading to the floor. The hotel corridor smelled of wet carpet and overchilled air. My pulse pounded in my ears as I stabbed the elevator button again and again. The doors slid open, and there he was, Marcus, Keogh, tailored suit, perfect tie, eyes that looked like they'd seen more than they should. In his hand my phone. "You dropped this," he said. I reached for it, but he didn't let go. His thumb brushed the screen, lighting it up. The photo glowed between us. "You have no idea who's really playing this game, do you?" "I didn't send that," I said, my voice too thin. "I believe you." His tone was low, almost gentle, but there was something in it, something that made me shiver. The elevator doors closed, sealing us in. I saw my reflection beside his me, shirt rumpled, skin flushed him, immaculate, calm. He didn't look like he belonged in the same reality. "You look shaken," he said. "I am. Good. Stay that way. It keeps you honest." The words lodged in me like a splinter. When the doors opened, he stepped out first, holding my phone toward me now. Our fingers touched, not an accident. His hand lingered, warm, steady, almost claiming. "Come with me," he said. "We'll talk somewhere quieter." I should have refused. Instead, I followed him through the revolving doors and into the rain. A black sedan waited. He opened the back door, letting me slide in first. The leather seats were warm, the air thick with his cologne, dark, woodsy, grounding. He sat beside me, too close for comfort in the wide back seat. My knee brushed his. I moved away. He didn't. "You're wondering who took that photo," he said. "Of course." His eyes held mine. "Sometimes the better question is who gave it to me." My breath caught. "You," he smiled, faint, unreadable. "We'll talk when we get there." Outside, the city lights streaked past in blurred gold and red. I could feel his gaze on me, steady, assessing, like he was already deciding what to do with me. I didn't know if Marcus was saving me or starting something much worse. The car slowed, pulling into an underground garage. The sound of rain faded, replaced by the low hum of fluorescent lights. Marcus stepped out first, not looking back to see if I'd follow. I did. The elevator up from the garage was smaller, warmer. I could smell his cologne again, that dark, smoky scent that clung to him like a second skin. He didn't speak until the doors slid open into a quiet, dimly lit penthouse. "Take your shoes off," he said. Not a request. I obeyed, water dripping from my jacket onto the polished floor. My hands were still shaking from the cold, from everything. "You're soaked," Marcus said, moving toward a sleek cabinet. He pulled out a folded towel and handed it to me. When our fingers touched, the air between us tightened. "Thanks." My voice sounded too soft. "Dry off before you catch something. You've got a meeting with me tomorrow. You'll want to be in one piece." The words hit differently, like tomorrow wasn't an option but a sentence. I started rubbing my hair with the towel. He watched me for a moment too long before turning away, removing his own jacket. His shirt clung to his shoulders in a way that made it hard not to notice the shape of him. Bathroom's there, he said, nodding toward a door. Shower if you want. There's clean clothes inside. It was the kind of offer that sounded generous, and yet it wasn't. I hesitated. Why are you helping me? His eyes caught mine sharp, unreadable. Maybe I'm the only one who can. Inside the bathroom, steam was already curling from the shower. A stack of black towels and a folded t-shirt sat on the counter. I peeled off my wet shirt, my skin prickling in the warm air. A knock at the door. You'll freeze if you take your time, Marcus said. His voice was closer than I expected. I pulled the shirt over my head quickly, water still clinging to my chest. When I opened the door, he was leaning against the wall, arms crossed. His gaze dipped, slow and deliberate, before meeting my eyes again. You should eat, he said, but first you're going to tell me exactly what happened tonight. I didn't answer right away. My mind kept circling back to the photo, to his words in the car. Who gave it to me? Sit, he ordered, nodding toward the sofa. I sat, he stood over me, one hand braced on the back of the couch, close enough that I could feel the heat from his body. You're not safe at home, he said quietly, and after tonight, you can't trust anyone at that company. Can I trust you? I asked. A slow smile. That's the wrong question. The right one is what will you give me in return? For a heartbeat, neither of us moved. His eyes held mine, and I could feel the weight of whatever bargain was hanging in the air. Then his phone buzzed. He stepped back, glanced at the screen, and his jaw tightened. Stay here, he said, walking toward the balcony. His voice was different now, harder. Through the glass I saw him speaking to someone on the phone, his back tense, his free hand gripping the railing. I couldn't hear the words, but I saw his reflection in the window, and for a second, it wastes, the man had just pulled me out of that mess. It was someone who might have caused it. When he came back inside, his eyes found mine again. You'll sleep in the guest room, he said. Lock the door from the inside. He didn't explain why, and I didn't ask. But as I lay in bed later, the city quiet outside, I swore I heard his footsteps stop outside my door and stay there, just long enough to know he was listening to me breathe. I woke to the sound of rain against the glass. For a moment I didn't remember where I was. The sheets smelled different, warmer, like cedar and something darker. Then it came back, Marcus, the car, the photo. I sat up, my head heavy with unanswered questions. My phone was on the nightstand. No messages, no calls. It felt strange, like the rest of the world had gone silent. A knock at the door. Soft, deliberate. Come in, I said before I thought better of it. Marcus stepped inside, holding 2 mugs. Steam curled up between us. Figured you could use this, he said, handing me one. The heat from the cup bled into my fingers. His hand lingered just long enough for me to notice. Thanks, I murmured. He studied me for a moment, his eyes catching on the t-shirt he'd given me last night. It was too big, hanging loose on my shoulders, the hem brushing my thighs. I felt exposed in a way I hadn't expected. You should eat, he said finally. Come on. I followed him into the kitchen, all dark wood and stainless steel, everything in perfect order. He moved like he owned not just the space, but the air in it. You sleep okay? He asked, sliding a plate toward me. Not really. Good. Keeps you sharp. The way he said it made it sound less like concern and more like preparation. We ate in near silence, only the clink of cutlery between us. Then he set his fork down, leaning forward slightly. You're going to tell me everything you know about that photo, every detail, even the ones you think don't matter. I told you I don't know where it came from. He held my gaze. Someone does, and they wanted you to break. I swallowed, and you don't. That smile again, slow, unreadable. If I wanted you broken, I wouldn't have brought you here. He stood, taking my plate, then came back around the counter closer now. Too close. You're still cold, he said quietly. I'm fine. He reached out, fingers brushing the side of my neck, trailing to my shoulder. My pulse jumped. You're not, he said. You're shaking. It wasn't entirely from the cold. His hand dropped, but he didn't move away. I could smell him, the same smoky cologne as last night, mixed with something warmer now. You don't trust me, he said. Should I? His eyes didn't leave mine. That's up to you. For a moment the room felt smaller, the air heavier. His gaze flicked to my mouth, just for a second, but I saw it. My own breath caught, and I hated that he noticed. Then the intercom buzzed. He stepped back, the moment gone, replaced by that businesslike mask. Stay here, he said, moving toward the door. But just before he left, he glanced over his shoulder and put on something warmer. unless you want me to do it for you." The door shut behind him, leaving the words hanging in the air like smoke. Marcus didn't come back for almost an hour. By the time the lock clicked, ID paced the length of the living room 3 times. He stepped in with his coat unbuttoned, a sharp look in his eyes. Behind him was a man I didn't recognize, tall, mid-30s, sharp suit, wet hair. He glanced at me once, then at Marcus. "You didn't tell me you had company," the stranger said. "I didn't think it mattered," Marcus replied. The man's gaze lingered on me, a flicker of recognition or judgment in his eyes. "I'll be in touch," he said, brushing past me toward the elevator. When the doors closed, I turned to Marcus. "Who was that? Business." His tone left no room for questions. "That didn't look like business." He met my stare, silent. Then, almost casually, he asked if you were staying long. My chest tightened. Why would he ask that? Marcus walked past me to the bar, pouring himself a drink. "Because people are curious when they see someone in my apartment, especially someone wearing my clothes." The words landed like a stone in my stomach. "What are you telling them? What am I even doing here, Marcus?" He took a slow sip, eyes on me over the rim of the glass. "I'm protecting you, or keeping me where you can watch me." The silence between us sharpened. He set the glass down, stepping closer. "You think I had something to do with that photo?" I didn't answer, which was enough of an answer. His jaw flexed. "Say it. Did you?" My voice was steady, even as my pulse spiked. He was right in front of me now, his breath warm against my face. "If I wanted to ruin you, I wouldn't have stopped at one picture." The heat in his voice was half anger, half something else. For a second we stood there close enough that my chest brushed his with each breath. Then he stepped back. "You don't get to question my motives," he said. "I do when I'm trapped here. That did it." His eyes darkened, and the next moment he had me by the wrist, pulling me toward the door. "You want to go? Fine." I yanked free. "I'm not playing your games." "Good," he said, voice low and dangerous. "Because the game's already started, and you're in it whether you want to be or not." I should have walked out. Instead, I stood there, staring at him, every nerve in my body caught between wanting to hit him and wanting to close the space between us. Then his phone rang. He glanced at the screen, cursed under his breath, and left the room without another word. I was alone again, but this time the quiet felt hostile. Marcus didn't come back for almost an hour. By the time the lock clicked, ID paced the living room 3 times. He stepped in with his coat unbuttoned, a sharp look in his eyes. Behind him was a man I didn't recognize, mid-30s, tailored suit, wet hair. He glanced at me once, then back at Marcus. "You didn't tell me you had company," the stranger said. "I didn't think it mattered," Marcus replied. The man's gaze lingered on me for a beat too long before he said, "I'll be in touch," and brushed past me toward the elevator. When the doors closed, I turned to Marcus. "Who was that? Business." His tone left no space for questions. "That didn't look like business." His silence was sharper than any answer. Then, almost casually, he asked if you were staying long. My stomach tightened. Why would he ask that? Marcus walked to the bar, poured himself a drink. "People get curious when they see someone in my apartment, especially someone wearing my clothes." The words landed like a stone in my chest. "What exactly are you telling them? What am I even doing here, Marcus? I'm protecting you, or keeping me where you can watch me." The silence between us was a blade. He set the glass down, stepping closer. "You think I had something to do with that photo?" I didn't answer, which was answer enough. His jaw flexed. "Say it. Did you?" My voice was steady, but my pulse was pounding. He closed the distance, his breath warm against my face. "If I wanted to ruin you, I wouldn't have stopped at one picture." The heat in his voice was half anger, half something else. For a second we stood there close enough that my chest brushed his with every breath. Then he stepped back. "You don't get to question my motives. I do when I'm trapped here. That did it." His eyes went darker, and the next moment he had my wrist in his hand, pulling me toward the door. "You want to go? Fine." I tore free. "I'm not playing your games." "Good," he said, low and dangerous. "Because the game's already started, and you're in it whether you like it or not." Before I could speak, his phone lit up on the table, unknown number. He tossed it down so I could see. "Maybe that's the person who sent the photo," I said. He stepped toward me slowly. "You think I'm part of this. I think you enjoy having me here, completely dependent on you." His hand slammed onto the back of the couch, stopping just short of grabbing my chin. "You have no idea what I'm keeping you from. Then explain it." He leaned in until I felt his breath at my ear. "Explanations cost more than you're ready to pay." I backed up, but he followed, our steps circling the couch like a quiet fight for territory. The doorbell rang. We froze. "Don't move," he said. I heard a low female voice at the door. "You need to stop. He's too young." When Marcus returned, his face was unreadable steel. "Who was that?" I asked. "No one you need to know." He took off his watch and tossed it onto the table. "Marcus," he spun back, and this time his hand did catch my chin, firm and warm. "You're not leaving. Not tonight. Hate me if you want, but you're staying." He released me, and my knees felt weak. I wanted to say something sharp, but the words never came. The silence between us was so taut I could hear my own heartbeat, and in that silence I realized Head already won this round. I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard her voice at the door. "He's too young." I didn't know who she was or what she meant, but it stuck under my skin like glass. By morning, Marcus was gone. No note, no coffee, just silence. I dressed in my own clothes for the first time since that night and stood at the apartment door. My hand hovered over the handle. I didn't know where I was going, only that I needed to get out. The hallway felt colder than it should. I made it to the elevator, hit the button. The ride down was too slow. Each floor number, glowing like it, was taunting me. When the doors opened to the garage, I didn't see him, but I saw the man from last night's visit, leaning against a black SUV. He smiled like we were old friends. "You should be careful," he said. "Not everyone Marcus brings home gets to leave on their own terms." I turned to go, but he stepped in front of me. "Tell me what you've seen. You'll make sure you're not the one who takes the fall when this all blows up." "I don't know what you're talking about." "That's the problem," he said. "You will." I pushed past him and walked fast toward the exit. The sound of footsteps followed me too close, too deliberate. I glanced back just in time to see him quicken his pace. "Ethan," Marcus' voice cut through the garage. He was striding toward us, his coat open, eyes sharp. He didn't look at the man, he looked only at me. "You're bleeding," he said. I touched my arm. My sleeve was torn, and there was a thin line of blood. I hadn't even felt it happen. He took my wrist, not roughly, but firmly, leading me back toward the elevator. I didn't fight him, not when his grip felt more like an anchor than a cage. In the apartment, he sat me down at the kitchen island, found a first aid kit, and started cleaning the cut. His fingers were steady, his touch careful, too careful for someone who had been ready to throw me out the night before. "You could have called me," he said. "You could have told me what's going on." I shot back. His jaw tightened. "Some things you're safer not knowing." The alcohol on the wound stung, but not as much as the look in his eyes when he said it. He wrapped the bandage slowly, his thumb brushing over my skin once before he pulled away. For a moment it was quiet, just the sound of rain against the glass, his hand still resting lightly on my arm. Then the intercom buzzed. He didn't move right away. "Who is it?" I asked. Marcus' gaze stayed locked on mine. "No one you need to see." The buzz came again, longer this time. He stood, went to the panel, and listened. Whatever he heard made his shoulders stiffen. "Go to your room, now. Not do it." His voice left no space for argument. I hesitated, then stepped toward the hallway, but before I disappeared from view, I saw him open the door, and the same man from the garage stepped inside. I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard her voice at the door. "He's too young." I didn't know who she was or what she meant, but it stuck under my skin like glass. The apartment felt colder, bigger, emptier without Marcus in it, like I'd been left in a place that wasn't mine to begin with. By morning he was gone. No note, no coffee, just silence. I stood at the door for a long time before I turned the handle. I didn't know where I was going, only that I needed to leave. The hallway smelled faintly of fresh paint and expensive cologne that wasn't his. My footsteps echoed as I made my way to the elevator. The ride down was slow, each floor number glowing like it was daring me to change my mind. When the doors opened to the garage, the air felt heavy and damp from the rain above. That's when I saw him, the man from last night, leaning against a black SUV like Head been waiting for me. His suit was dry, which meant Head been here a while. He smiled like we were already in on the same secret. "You should be careful," he said. "Not everyone Marcus brings home gets to leave on their own terms." I stopped a few steps away. Who are you? Someone who's giving you a chance to get ahead of what's coming. Tell me what you've seen, and I'll make sure you walk away clean. I don't know what you're talking about. That's the problem, he said. You will. He stepped forward. I stepped back. My pulse was in my throat, loud enough to drown out the hum of the overhead lights. I turned, quickening my pace toward the exit. Footsteps followed steady, unhurried, like he knew I had nowhere to run. Ethan, Marcus' voice cut through the space like a gunshot. He was striding toward us, his coat open, eyes locked on me. He didn't look at the man he didn't need to. You're bleeding, he said. I looked down. My sleeve was torn near the elbow, a thin red line running along my skin. I hadn't even felt it happen. He took my wrist not roughly, but firmly, and pulled me toward the elevator. His grip was warm, steady, grounding me even as my thoughts spun. Back upstairs, he guided me to a stool at the kitchen island, set a small white first aid kit in front of me, and began cleaning the cut. The antiseptic burned, and I flinched. Hold still, he said quietly. You could have told me what's going on, I said. He didn't look up. Some things you're safer not knowing. The bandage was snug, his fingers lingering just a little too long on my arm. His thumb brushed against my wrist once before he pulled away. It was nothing, and it was everything. Better, he said, his voice softer now. For a moment I thought he might actually tell me something real. But instead he crossed to the counter, poured 2 glasses of water, and slid one toward me. We sat in silence, the rain outside tapping against the glass. The tension had shifted, still heavy, but different, like the storm had moved inside. Then the intercom buzzed. He didn't move. His eyes stayed on me for a long second before he stood and walked to the panel. He pressed the button, listened, and something in his shoulders tightened. Go to your room, now, not do it. His tone was final. I hesitated, then backed toward the hallway. The buzz came again, longer this time, followed by a knock. I'd just reached my door when I heard Marcus open his. Footsteps, then another voice, low, smooth, familiar. The man from the garage stepped inside. The door closed behind them, the soft click sounding too calm for what it meant. I stayed in the hallway, close enough to hear but far enough not to be seen. I told you not to come here, Marcus said. His voice was low, but there was a sharpness under it. I told you we'd need to talk, the man replied. And I told you he was going to be a problem. My chest tightened. They were talking about me. Leave him out of it, Marcus said. That's not how this works. You know what happens if this goes public. There was a pause. Then Marcus' voice, lower. If it does, I'll take the hit, not him. Something in my stomach dropped. I didn't know whether that was protection or confession. Footsteps, too close. I backed up toward my room, but before I reached the door, Marcus was there, the other man already gone. How much did you hear? He asked. Enough. He stepped forward, closing the space between us. Then you know him not your enemy. I laughed once, sharp. You're the only one in this apartment who could have sent that photo. His eyes flickered not with guilt, but something harder. You think I dehumiliate you like that? I think you know exactly who did. His hand hit the wall beside my head. Not touching me, but close enough that the heat of his skin reached mine. You want the truth. The photo came from my phone. The floor seemed to tilt. So it was you? No, he said quickly, leaning in until I could feel his breath on my cheek. Someone took it from me, used it, and now they are trying to use you to get to me. I wanted to move away. I didn't. My pulse was a steady thud in my ears. You could have told me, I said. I couldn't risk it, he replied. The less you know, the safer you are. His voice dropped on the last words, and for a moment neither of us moved. His gaze locked on mine, drifting for just a second to my mouth before snapping back up. I swallowed hard. And now it's too late. His hand slid down the wall, brushing my shoulder. The contact was light, almost careful, but it sent a charge through me. This was a mistake, I said. Then why aren't you walking away? His voice was a dare. We were so close I could feel his breath mix with mine. Every muscle in my body was telling me to step back, but I didn't. His eyes softened, just enough to make me think he might close the gap between us. Instead, he stepped back entirely, his face unreadable again. You have one more night here, he said. Then you leave. I stood there, my chest tight, as he walked past me. I didn't know if I was relieved or disappointed. I didn't see him the next morning. His coat was gone from the hook by the door. The glass head left on the counter the night before was washed, dried, and turned upside down like head erased himself from the space. The guest room felt smaller now. I sat on the bed, the sheets still faintly warm from when I'd finally fallen asleep. My phone lay on the nightstand, no new messages, no calls. The silence felt intentional. I wandered into the living room, every surface immaculate except for the arm of the couch where his hand had been beside my head last night. I stood there longer than I should have, staring like the imprint might still be there if I looked closely enough. On the counter, a folded piece of paper, my name on the outside, inside just a single sentence. If you stay, it won't be safe for either of us. I didn't know if it was a warning or an invitation. I packed slowly, not because I had much, but because it felt like moving too quickly would break whatever invisible thread still connected us. The shirt had given me was folded at the bottom of the bag. I almost left it, then didn't. At the elevator, I hesitated. The lobby security guard didn't look up as I passed. Outside, the rain had stopped, but the streets still smelled like it. I walked 2 blocks before I saw him, across the street, standing beside a black sedan, his coat collar turned up. He waited, looking at me not directly, but I knew he saw me. I stopped. For a moment I thought he might cross or call out. Instead, he opened the car door, slid inside, and the sedan pulled away, disappearing into the traffic. I stood there until the street was empty, my pulse still uneven. If head turned around, even once, am not sure which one of us would have walked away.